Location: outside the wall. My lord, the young man pleaded to Alexander, the bravest watcher of the century. We have been trapped outside these walls for days, our homes burned, our people slaughtered. The dark jungle has cursed us, and now a giant has awakened. Alexander's piercing gaze settled upon the boy, then drifted toward the frail children at his side. Who are these little ones with you? He asked, his voice steady but burdened. The boy swallowed hard. They are my kin. Their parents were torn apart by the beast. I barely escaped as my house burned. My mother get killed. His voice trembled as memories of fire and screams flooded his mind. The giant. He crushed our village, my lord. He is real. Alexander exhaled slowly, his gloved hand tightening into a fist. So it is true. The giant of the abyss walks once more. My lord, the boy's voice broke with sorrow. He destroyed everything we had. We prayed every night for salvation, but this time, our gods did not answer. A deep silence settled between them, heavy like the burden Alexander carried. I can do nothing, he finally admitted, his tone bitter with helplessness. Only the Council of Four has the power to open these gates. Before another word could be spoken, the thunder of galloping hooves echoed behind them. 2 armored soldiers dismounted swiftly, their faces grim. My lord, we bring word from the council. One of them hesitated, then lowered his gaze. They have refused to open the gates. Alexander's jaw clenched. But they are innocent, he argued, his voice rising. We tried, my lord, the soldier answered, regret in his tone. But they will not change their minds. A heavy weight pressed against Alexander's chest. He looked at the boy once more, then at the trembling children. They would not survive the night. The bitter truth settled upon him like a cold blade against his skin. With a final look of anguish, he turned and walked away. A warrior's burden. Returning to his chamber, Alexander found Sabona, his beloved wife, waiting for him. The warm glow of the hearth illuminated her golden hair and piercing emerald eyes. She had prepared dinner, but the sight of her husband's weary expression made her heart ache. My love, she whispered, stepping forward, concern deep in her gaze. I could not sleep last night. I prayed for your safety. Tell me, what did you see beyond the wall? He removed his dusty gloves, stretching his hands toward the fire for warmth. Then, with a voice heavy with guilt, he spoke. Not monsters, Sabona, but children. Innocent children, starving, pleading for mercy. Sabona's breath hitched. The Dunes village? But weren't they the ones responsible for the last attack? Alexander shook his head. No, my love. They were victims. Victims of the giant. And I could do nothing for them. Sabona's hands trembled as she covered her mouth. And now? She asked softly. They are still there, he said, his voice hollow. Waiting. But the council has sealed their fate. Sabona's eyes filled with sorrow as she embraced her husband tightly. You did what you could, my love. This is not your burden to bear alone. Yet deep inside, Alexander knew he would never forgive himself. Beneath the night sky, outside the walls, the young man sat atop a rock, his exhausted frame barely holding together. The children lay beside him, their frail bodies curled against the bitter cold. Alice, the elder of the two, clutched her little brother Finn tightly. Her golden hair shimmered beneath the pale moonlight, but her green eyes were dulled by sorrow. You lied to us, she whispered bitterly, her voice barely above the wind. You said Alexander would open the gates, but we are still here. The young man swallowed the lump in his throat. Alice, my parents are dead, she suddenly cried, her voice breaking. I saw them torn apart like broken dolls, and now we are left to die in this cursed land. Finn whimpered, clinging to his sister's sleeve. Alice, don't cry, he whispered. I'm here. The young man clenched his fists. He had no words of comfort, no promises to give. The truth was merciless. There was no way into Oreant. Then, a sound sliced through the night. A deep, guttural scraping, like claws against stone. The young man sprang to his feet. Alice, Finn, get up, now. Alice wiped her tears, grabbing Finn's hand. What is it? The jungle is waking up, he murmured, his breath shallow. We have to move. The three of them stumbled forward, their steps unsteady with hunger and fear. The vast emptiness around them offered no shelter, only an endless graveyard of ruined lands. Then, I found something, Alice gasped, pointing at a collapsed underground passage. It leads below. We can hide there. The young man hesitated. The darkness below seemed unwelcoming, dangerous. But before he could decide, Finn had already scrambled inside. There's nothing here. Come on. The night thickened, and with it, the unseen horrors drew closer. With no other choice, the young man took Alice's hand and followed Finn into the unknown. The echoes of the cursed land whispered around them. The night of the dark beast. The night of the dark beast. The night was cold. A thin veil of mist curled through the ruined land, weaving around the broken stones and shattered remains of a village long lost to time. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and the faint, lingering stench of burned wood. Beneath the shadow of the towering wall of Oreant, 3 figures lay curled within the hollow of a collapsed shelter. The young man, exhausted beyond words, had finally drifted into sleep after days of endless running. His body ached, his stomach twisted with hunger, but for once, there was silence. Alice, the girl with golden hair and sorrow-filled emerald eyes, clutched her younger brother Finn against her chest, as if shielding him from the nightmares that haunted them both. For a brief moment, they had peace. But what is peace in a world where darkness reigns? It started as a whisper, a deep, rumbling tremor that slithered through the ground like an omen of death. Then, the first boom, a second boom. The dark one had come. A shadow swallowed the moonlight. A monstrous silhouette loomed over the desolate field, its massive form rising like a living nightmare. Its glowing eyes, red as molten embers, pierced through the night, and its breath was a putrid mix of decay and ancient hunger. Its jagged teeth, each the size of a man's arm, gleamed under the pale moon. With each step, the ground shook beneath its colossal weight. Rocks crumbled, dust rose like ghostly figures, and in an instant, the fragile illusion of safety shattered. The young man's eyes flew open, his instincts screaming at him to move, but he was already too late. A massive, clawed hand lunged from the darkness, wrapping around his entire torso. Before he could even cry out, crack! He was torn from the ground and hurled across the ruined landscape like a broken doll. He hit the jagged stones with a sickening thud, his ribs shattering on impact. Stars exploded behind his eyes, pain searing through every bone in his body. Through the haze, he heard Alice scream. The young man gasped, trying to rise, but the shadow was already upon him. The dark beast charged, its speed unnatural for its massive form. It was a blur of nightmare and death, tearing through the ruins with a force that made the very earth tremble. Alice, still clutching Finn, turned towards the wall, the only sanctuary left. She knew she couldn't fight the creature. She wasn't a warrior, wasn't strong enough. But she had to get Finn to safety. She kissed his forehead, whispering, "Don't be scared, little one. I'm here. No one will hurt us." But she knew it was a lie. The young man, broken, bleeding, lifted his head, his voice ragged. "Alice? Go. Run. Don't worry about me." She hesitated for just a second, but then she ran. The giant reached the boy. For a moment, everything slowed. The beast's massive hands wrapped around his body, one gripping his shoulders, the other his legs. The young man gasped, struggling, but the strength of the monster was beyond comprehension. And then, R.I.P., the sound of tearing flesh. His body was split in two. His blood splattered across the ruins, dark and glistening under the moonlight. His broken form fell to the ground, lifeless. His dreams, shattered. His promise to his mother, lost. The monster turned, its wicked, bone-deep laughter echoing through the night like the tolling of a death bell. The sound shook the earth, sending chills down Alice's spine. Alice's legs collapsed beneath her. Blood trickled from her wounds, her flesh torn from jagged stones as she ran. She clutched Finn tighter, gasping. Finn, her little brother, her last reason to keep going, was crying softly against her shoulder. She didn't look back. She couldn't. The beast, that thing, had just murdered the last person who had protected them. Alice whispered under her breath, her emerald eyes dark with fury. "One day, I will kill you. One day, I will take revenge for everything you've stolen from us. But first, she had to survive." The night grew darker. The border was still far away, and the beast was still behind them. Would they escape, or would the darkness claim them too?